Hey, everybody. If this is your first time joining the Bone Patrol Boys, I want to say welcome. And if you were sent here by the Moonlit Ghost or Everlast Mile, you're not welcome. Get out of here. Get out of our episode. We don't want you. You're not friends. Right?
I'm not condoning anything.
Why? What's wrong? What's wrong with these people?
Oh, you're right. They're right. Just kidding. We love you. Welcome. Welcome. And if you're here for the Yeti Challenge, extra, extra welcome. For our listeners who don't know about that, you need to jump over to Everlast Miles' video or his website to check out the Yeti Challenge that's going on. We're part of this. Every Last Mile, obviously, is the one hosting it. And Moonlit Ghost is also part of this. There's going to be some clues you got to figure out and some really cool prizes you can win. So on that note, obviously, we're talking about the Yeti. We're going to talk about who discovered a Yeti. Are Yetis real? How powerful is the Yeti? Yetis in pop culture. My favorite Yetis.
Now I got a quick question. How do you tell the difference between a Yeti and a Bigfoot? Is it some kind of like birthmark? Like I have a huge birthmark on the right of my buttocks. So that's how you can tell the difference between me and other people.
I think, well, I didn't actually look into Yeti's buttocks at all. Actually, if you want to learn about the Bigfoot buttocks, go over to Moonlit Ghost. He does a fantastic analysis of Bigfoot's butt. But I think in this one, the biggest difference is just purely geographical location. I think that's going to be the biggest difference between a Bigfoot and Yeti, but we will get into that. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us on this special Yeti excavation. I'm Aaron.
Chris.
I'm Tyler.
And
I was thrown off guard because the intro came so late.
Yeah. And today we're going to the Himalayas. We're going to Nepal. We're going to the tippy tip top of Mount Everest, looking for the Yeti, the Abominable snowman, the dirty snowman, as some like to call him.
Pretty dirty.
Harold, as others sometimes call him. Anyway, we're looking for him. We're going to see if we can find him. So where does the Yeti begin? Actually, what is a Yeti? What is a Yeti? Does anybody here know what a Yeti is? Christopher, Tyler.
Tyler shook his head and he mouthed no. In case you couldn't see him through the audio, that's what he did.
That's actually, that's a safe bet because originally, and probably like many of our listeners, I just assumed a Yeti was a Bigfoot that lived in the mountains with snow. Basically a snow Bigfoot. But the original origins of the Yeti goes way, way, way back in Nepal, the Nepal area. And it was just a story that the elders would tell the children of their tribes to get them so they wouldn't wander out in the mountains by themselves and die. It was like the boogeyman of the Himalayas. So they'd be like, oh, you can't be going around hiking by yourself. The Yeti will come and snatch you away. And the thing is, the Yeti just translated into the wild man.
I got a new theory off of what you just said about the M cave.
Uh-huh.
The Yeti got him.
It was a Yeti living in the desert?
Yeah, why not? You said, like, it's mainly just geographical, right? Like where they're located.
Yeah.
Who says there can't be a sand Yeti? There's not a sand Bigfoot.
Would his fur be like tan? Like a light tan?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's green like a cactus.
Yeah, with the sand Yeti. That's an interesting thought. Would he have like a scorpion tail and pincers?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Why not?
Well, keep that in mind.
He also speaks perfect English.
Keep that in mind and see if maybe your opinion changes if it was a Yeti or not. Because the original definition was just a wild man. Legitimately think of a snow hippie out in the wild who would just steal children away. And they believed there were tribes of them. It wasn't just a single thing. Kind of like how Bigfoot almost feels like it's a single Bigfoot that lots of people are seeing. The Yeti were originally seen as a tribe of wild men that lived in the mountainous regions of Nepal. But how did the Yeti go from this long-haired guy to the big old snow beast of the mountains. And the real thing is Western culture and commercialization of the Yeti, as well as big old footprints that were found up in the mountains by, well, two, Eric Shipton and Sir Edmund Hillary. They had a little thing for feet.
Hey, those two, what do you call them? Explorers?
Yeah, we call them explorers,
photographers.
adventurers.
They're artists.
Photographers.
They're photographers and they're artists, and they get me. I get those guys. They get me. We gets each other.
We what?
We gets each other. We love feet.
They love the feet.
Photography, if you will.
Photography.
This is just like, so this is so mind-blowing to me. So when I was first reading about it, I was surprised that the Yeti was so humanoid in the beginning. And then what happened was that these Western adventurers and explorers came over to hike Mount Everest and see if they could find, they wanted to be like the first Westerner to hike the top of Everest. And while they were there, they learned about local folklore and obviously learned about the Yeti. And the Westerners gave it the name the Abominable Snowman. They thought that just had a better ring to it, which translated to dirty snowman.
Yeah. Which, is he like physically dirty or like?
I'm gonna think, yeah, probably. I don't think he's the cleanest of fellows.
Yeah.
He's the alleyway Yeti. Like, he's an egg.
Hey, you got any smokes?
You want some snow cones?
But this term was coined by Charles Howard Bury. Is that how you think? Bury? Charles Howard Bury.
I'd say Bury, yeah.
He led a British expedition around Everest, and he was writing a book about his journey around Everest and the local findings, and that's where he learned about the Yeti, saw some big footprints, apparently, and he was like, it's cooler than a Wildmen, a man-bear snowman that we can name the Filthy Snowman or the Abominable Snowman. And so that's kind of where it started, and it fit better with Western culture. To be like, there's a big old monster that lives in the mountains of Everest, and if you travel out here, maybe you can find his footprints or maybe sneak a peek. And it really did spike the interest of Europeans to come over to Nepal and the Himalayas and Everest and explore.
Yeah.
We both leaned into the mic at the same time. What were you gonna say, Tyler?
I was just gonna say, yeah, because of this this book he wrote about like the Abominable Snowman, everyone's like, oh, I have money, I can go to Nepal and find this Abominable Snowman. And so like, yeah, a whole bunch of like Europeans and like Americans went over there just to find him.
And people claimed to. So in 1925, this guy named Tabazi, he was a Greek photographer and geologist. He said he saw a figure that looked like a man, but with no clothes on in the Himalayas.
I think that just was the town crazy who was just walking around being like, hey, what's up?
I think it's hilarious that he saw a naked dude walking through a snowstorm, and his first assumption was, that's the Abominable Snowman I heard so much about.
Did he even describe him as hairy?
No, but he did find one of his footprints in the snow, and he said it was, get this, about 6 to 7 inches long and 4 inches wide.
That's a pretty big footprint.
Yeah. So to be fair, Tambazi did not claim it was a Yeti. He thought it was just a hermit with a real big foot living out in the snow, and everybody else was so certain it was the Yeti. They're like, Tambazi, you idiot! There's no hermits out here, only Yetis. So
only Yeti.
So that was the first bit of evidence we found after all these Westerners started coming over. And then in 1951, this is probably one of the two most famous ones that most people have heard of, Eric Shipton. He came over and he took one of the more famous pictures that has ever been seen. He was trying to summit Mount Everest. I think he was trying to find an alternate route to the top because it was so hard. No Westerner had summited Mount Everest at this point, and his idea was, well, it's because of the route they're using, so if I find an alternate route, I can summit Mount Everest. And while he was on his expedition, he found a bunch of footprints in the snow, real big footprints, very similar to how Tambazi found them about 25 years earlier. You can find this picture pretty easily. Just look up Eric Shipton Yeti pictures. But once again, not much proof beyond that. But it really had a footprint.
Yeah, I have the picture pulled up, and it's a pretty good picture of Feig because Chris loves him. But yeah, it's just a picture of just like tracks, and that's about it.
Does he have like his foot in it for scale or anything?
No, he doesn't. I mean,
which is funny because you would think he would take a close up,
right?
But I guess he had limited film.
He's not a good photographer.
Now, speaking of scale, though, it's a good thing you bring that up because 2 years later, this is where we get the most famous picture of a Yeti footprint. So in 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, they were the first people to summit Everest. They found a mysterious footprint while summiting Everest. Tenzing took the picture, and they used a pickaxe next to it to give it some scale, and it's the length of the entire, what do you call that, blade? I don't know. The pick
blade.
Plus the other pick. And they described it as looking like an ape footprint. And it is very interesting. It does look like it could be some sort of primate footprint. It is huge, though, and it's got what appears to be 3-ish toes, but they're kind of deformed.
Yeah, and I looked up like a picture of like a gorilla's footprint because that's what they were thinking. Like it was like the Yeti was kind of like a gorilla, and it looks kind of similar, except the toes. The toes are, at least for an ape, I think there's 4, but for this one, there's just 3.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Well, how many toes do Ninja Turtles have?
Isn't that 2? Because don't they like? Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking.
Ninja Turtle feet. They've got 2 giant toes.
Not Leonardo.
So no, not a Ninja Turtle. It's not Raphael up here. Which would be even more surprising, seeing as they're cold-blooded.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they would die.
But didn't Edmund claim this picture wasn't reliable?
Yeah, because he was saying that I think Tenzing, his like companion, was I guess notable for pulling practical jokes on people, and so but Tenzing was like, no, this is serious. Like this isn't a joke. But Edmund thought, there's no way. Like
So I suppose why this picture then gained so much, I don't know, it just became such a big deal and people believed it so thoroughly was because Edmund was known for being very, very serious. He didn't mess around with his job, and when he explored, he did try to provide the most accurate and best information he could to people back home. And so when people saw that this was from an expedition he was on, they were certain it was real because Edmund would never mess around like this. But I guess Edmund was not so certain about Tenzing. So, yeah, I guess it's hard to say because one half of the group is very serious, wouldn't mess around, and the other is known for messing around.
Yeah.
How did they find each other?
The stars aligned, and that's just how it happens.
Opposites attract.
True love.
Yeah. They just a Yeti dating app, I think.
Is it just called Yeti?
Yeti.
Yeah.
Or is it called Dirty Snowman?
Yeah. And really, so after this point, 1953, we get more sightings in 1957. We got some in the 60s, more in the 50s, some later in the 2000s. But in reality, they're all pretty similar. People just seeing weird footprints or handprints or figures in the far distance. I know there was one instance where some explorer saw these tiny, tiny little figures in the distance. We're talking microscopic, basically, for how far away he's looking. And he describes them in perfect detail, having reddish and white fur, being this large, and blah, blah, blah. Bro, you couldn't you couldn't tell the difference between that and a grain of salt for how far away you were.
They were so beautiful.
And then another guy took some pictures, and it was determined they were just piles of rocks. So, I don't know. Basically, the Shipton and Edmund Hillary, those 2 pictures are really still the only ones that I guess you can say stand the test of time.
Yeah. And the funny thing about the 1957 one, for some reason, so do you know who Jimmy Stewart is?
The guitar player.
Close, but he is a famous actor in the late 1950s and early 60s. He plays like the main character in It's a Wonderful Life. He's in Rear Window, Vertigo. For some reason, he had a friend who was like really into like Yetis and Bigfoot, and he convinced Jimmy Stewart to fly over to a Buddhist monastery where they supposedly had a Yeti hand, and Jimmy Stewart stole it.
He stole the hand?
Testing it. He stole the hand. And they tested this hand, and they're like, it's just a regular human hand.
Yeah, that was like back in 2011, right? They tested the hand, and they determined this is just a human's hand, which is almost creepier than they had it.
It's so weird because, like, I don't know. It's just
the hand had a name, right? It was the Pangbochi hand.
Yeah, it's so hard. Yeah, Pambochi.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I just think it's so funny that Jimmy Stewart, like this famous actor, goes to a Buddhist monastery and like steals a hand.
It's for science.
It's for science.
Science.
Now, even better, if we want to really put a twist into this whole Yeti folklore, because I think at this point, the idea of Wildmen has really died out. And I mean, obviously, because I'm going to assume none of you have heard about that. It was my first time hearing about that the giant Yeti beast that lives in the mountain is the true Yeti lore at this point. Well, in 2004, Henry Gee, an editor of Nature magazine, he really flipped the whole Yeti description upside down. He said, now you catch this, he said, the Yeti folklore is about Homo floresiensis. That's the
close, but
that's the scientific name. He says it's a humanoid that stood about 3 feet 7 inches, nicknamed the Hobbit. That was the Yeti. Yeah. They lived up to 12,000 years ago, but scientists are now believing it was more like 50,000 years ago. But that's the true Yetis.
Yeah, just little snow hobbits, basically.
Melon heads, if you will.
Melon heads, yes.
Could you imagine the beanie you would need to fit on a melon head?
That's a pretty big beanie.
What is the condition? What's the condition melon heads have again? What is it called? I keep thinking
hydrocephalus.
Okay, Not to be confused with Tyler's disease, hydrosyphilis.
So they just have reverse of that in their
reverse.
Feet?
It's in their feet.
Fluid-filled toes.
That's why their feet are so big.
Hydrofootolus.
Yuck.
Yeah. Imagine the booties. That came out wrong. Imagine the snow boots you would need to fit on a person with hydrofootolus.
Footolus. Booties.
Now, so, I don't know. Henry Gee, that seems pretty reasonable to me that the Yeti is not, in fact, a bear man, but is in reality a hobbit. Seems reasonable. But in 2019, this is the most recent Yeti sighting I was able to find. So in 2019, the Indian Army says it discovered footprints in the Himalayas that appear to belong to a Yeti, or as we here in the U.S. know, Bigfoot, which is wrong. That's not true. The Yeti and Bigfoot, not the same. Or the filthy snowman. Now get this. So do you remember the size? Let's cut back real quick. The size of the footprint found by Tambazi, being 6 to 7 inches long and 4 inches wide. I mean, it's a pretty darn big foot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
How big was this one?
The footprint that the Indian Army found, 32 inches by 15 inches.
Oh my gosh, that's like a monster.
I just
like Goliath.
I don't know. That is so big. I wish there was a picture, but they didn't have a picture of the footprint.
Yeah. Well, you would think like 2019, like they would have some sort of like imaging or like something. I don't know.
How does it even walk around with feet that big?
What am I at?
I can't see.
I can't see either. We're measuring my foot.
Well, mine is, I mean, isn't it roughly a size is about an inch?
9.5-ish, maybe? Would you say 9.5?
You have a 9.5-inch foot.
I'm not.
I guess. I wear size 11 and they fit great.
Well, that's not even close to this 32-inch monstrosity of a foot. And it's 15
Sorry,
inches
I'm knocking
wide.
things over.
Yeah.
This thing
I
is
wonder
2
how
feet
hefty-
wide, and I can't do math. This thing is a little over a foot wide.
But yeah, like you would think. So with like bigger feet size, usually that means the bigger the creature.
Yeah.
Like how big is this Yeti?
Well,
Like I wonder if they could like plug in some like math stuff and like figure it out.
oh, let me do that real quick.
Yeah, hit us with
Okay.
some numbers.
Okay, I'm doing the calculations.
I'm ready.
Wide and then
Oh my gosh.
x equals mc squared. Y is mx plus
Don't
v.
forget to square it. Don't forget to square it.
Squared over 6 divided by 3. About 3 foot 7 inches.
Wow. That's
That is
amazing.
that's a big boy right there.
Yeah.
What am I, like, what, 40 centimeters?
Yeah. Do
I'd
you know
agree
the?
with that.
Can you convert that for us?
6 meters.
Nice. That's you're
6
massive. You're like 18 feet tall.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. I mean, this is just so crazy to me. This mythical beast, this monstrosity of the mountains.
I like how the army officials posted it on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, look what we found.
so I mean, I get it when it comes to
wait.
cryptids. Part of their lore is they do slightly change per region, and as people tell stories, I mean, that's just how
Yeah.
stories work, right? It's just like the game of telephone that each time it's told and it goes down the line and retold, it morphs a little bit, but holy cow, is the Yeti so different in so many different stories and people's ideas of what a Yeti could be. On one hand, it's just a hippie. On the other hand, it's a hobbit. And on the other, it's as big as a mountain. I mean, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And to add to all of that, so there's this man. I'm trying to load his website. Here we go. Graham Hoyland. He's a self-proclaimed author, sailor, mountaineer, producer, director, and an adventurer. He has this website, blah, blah, does all that stuff, but he has the top 10 Yeti and Abominable Snowman sightings. But he starts it off by clarifying that Yetis can range in size and environment. So he said the first and the largest is the terrifying Zute, which stands 8 feet tall. But it prefers to walk on all fours, and it can kill a yak with one swipe of its claws.
Jeez. That sounds more like a bear, though.
Yeah.
Because aren't bears like around 8 feet, 9
It
feet?
just sounds like a
big
polar
and-
bear, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe that's what the first one is. The second one
Okay.
is the smaller Chuthi, or Thelma. It's little, it's reddish-colored, child-sized creature who walks around on 2 legs, has long arms, and he's seen in the forests of Nepal.
Nepal has forest?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was like a mountain
The
region.
forests of Sikkim.
I
And
have
Nepal.
a better question for you.
Yeah.
Nepal has orangutans?
All right, okay. So the first one was a polar bear, the second one was an orangutan. Okay, that's fine. But the third one, this is going to get you. The Métis, or that's the only way I can think to pronounce it. It's very similar to a man, has orangey red fur on his body. He attacks humans, and is most often depicted on monastery wall paintings, sometimes known as a Yeti. That's it. What about that one?
That's just wrong.
That one actually sounds more like an orangutan.
Ron.
Maybe they're both
That one-
orangutans.
No, that's wrong.
One was just
Yeah, maybe.
a baby
Maybe the
orangutan, and the other was
Yeti's
an
like
adult
yeah.
orangutan.
So one of them's Linky Kong.
Oh my gosh, it was just Lanky Kong killing yaks in one swipe of his massive arms.
I feel like it was an accident too. He just doesn't have control over his body. He means well, but he's been banished away because he can't control his wicked long arms.
So, yeah, that seems accurate. I think that solves it. I think all of these Yeti sightings throughout history were really just Lanky Kong the entire time.
Yeah, it's a common mistake.
I mean, I've made the mistake.
DK, Donkey Kong.
Yes.
I think, I mean, you can go and read just pages and pages of people's explorations and excavations and their Yeti sightings, and they all kind of start to blur together. They're all very, very similar. And the things that really get me when you look at the pictures of those footprints is, why is there only a picture of a single footprint? Why were there not...
Yeah.
What, did it hop on one leg in one spot and then just launched into space through the atmosphere? I don't...
It's a one-legged...
There's
Yeti.
one footprint. That's all I take a picture of. It's just like, that doesn't really convince me that it's real. Also, the footprints... I mean, think about it in the snow. Things are constantly melting and then refreezing, which is going to morph the shape. And this thing looks very crisp, which means it would have just been there. So there would have been more footprints to have been seen. I don't know. That's not very convincing to me. But what is convincing of what could convince me anyway of what if a Yeti is true or not are all the depictions in pop culture of Yetis. We got a list here of our favorite ones. And we're going to see which one we think is most powerful or most convincing. You guys ready for this?
Oh, we are ready.
All right. I want to start with ones that people know about. Let's what about the snow ghast from Scooby-Doo?
Snow ghast. Okay.
Let's start with
we have it pulled up.
Yeah, let's start with this. Let's describe him. Tyler, can you describe him for us?
So he looks pretty muscular, and he has really like long white eyebrows. I would say
eyebrows kind of make him look like Wolverine.
Yeah, like a Wolverine style eyebrows. He looks maybe, if I were to guess, maybe 10 feet tall. Probably could lift a car over his head.
Or maybe a mystery machine
van, yeah. So this guy is pretty scary, I think. Yellow eyes as well.
No pupils.
Do you think this
weird.
is... Okay, so if we're going to be describing this for the people at home too, is this more accurate to the ancient Nepal definition of a Yeti, the Wildman, the more common Westerner idea of the Abominable Snowman, or the very, very recent midget definition? Which one do you think this
I would
most
say
accurately
the
describes?
Western style.
I would have to agree with that. I think this looks like a great representation of what the Abominable Snowman would look like to me. Christopher?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I just,
he just looks so sad.
He does look very sad.
Angry and sad.
All right, so keep
He's
that
about to
guy in
cry.
mind. Keep that guy in mind.
All right.
If he was to go up against the Marvel Comics Wendigo, who is also a
this
very,
guy.
very accurate representation of the Abominable Snowman. I mean, this dude is massive. He's got beautiful, long, rolling, white locks of hair, rippling
Yes, I
muscles,
agree.
hands as large as trees. This guy's he is a monster. If he was to go up against the snow ghost, who's going to win here?
I would say the Wendigo, the Marvel Comics Wendigo, because he has red eyes, and look at his hand. If you see his hand, he has really long nails, and I feel like that will just like tear through the abominable. Was it Ghost?
Yeah,
on
the snow
Scooby-Doo.
ghost.
They could just tear through him, right through him.
So you think the Marvel Comics Wendigo is more powerful than Scooby-Doo's Snow Ghost?
From the picture, yes.
Christopher, what do you think?
Is the snow ghost really a ghost?
I'm not going to spoil the episode.
Because if he's really a ghost, what are you gonna do, right?
That's true.
As far as
he's
the first 80% of the episode is concerned, yes, he is a ghost.
Right, and then they unmask him, and it's
Nepal's spoiler alert! Wee woo. Send him to jail, Tyler. Get him out of here.
I think
don't think I can.
I think that well, it says here that this beastie makes the Juggernaut look puny by comparison. So I'm going with Wendigo.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the Wendigo, as much as I have to agree with you, is that his name is Wendigo. Seems misleading.
Yeah.
If you want to know why, go check out our Skinwalker Ranch episode.
I also like how he's like a Pokemon and he just goes Wendigo.
That's all he says.
All right, that's fair. All right, so we got a Wendigo who's going to go on to fight the one, the only, the Hoth Wampa.
Oh, I love Wampas.
Right, the Wampa
Well, to
being
start off, bro,
the most
like-
famous snow beast in film history, I would say. Right? He appears in The Empire Strikes Back, but, I mean, this man deserves a movie all of his own. Wouldn't you agree?
Maybe. I mean, I remember as a kid playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, and there was this mode where you can go up against Wampas, and man, it was hard. Because what they would do is they would charge at you, and they would just basically shove you aside and kill you within, like, a couple swings.
Could you
These
say
guys are pretty powerful.
Could you say a Wampa has the power to kill a yak with one swipe of its claws?
I would agree that, because he... Doesn't he... I can't remember. In the movie, does he kill a tauntaun?
I don't know if it shows him killing it necessarily. I know for sure it shows him like
But he
eating
like
one or
eats
something.
it. Yeah. Maybe.
All right. So the Hoth Wampa versus Marvel's Wendigo. Who comes out victor here?
This is a hard one. The Wampas, however, are about the size of a human, maybe a little bit taller, maybe around 7 feet, maybe 8 pushing it. The Wendigo, he just looks massive. So,
How tall do you think Nightcrawler is?
Oh, Nightcrawler is going to
5'10"
be probably average
or
size, right?
less.
Like 5'10".
So, just some quick finger measurements. The Wendigo is 2.5 Nightcrawlers tall.
So we're talking pushing 11 to 12 feet.
massive.
yeah.
Yeah, I might say the Wendigo. He's just the sheer massiveness.
Yeah, I can't disagree there. I think Marvel's Wendigo is still on top. But I think this next competitor is going to give him run for his money. Hugo
Okay.
from the Abominable Snow Rabbit.
Hugo, let's find this.
Appearing in the 1961
gosh.
classic era of Chuck Jones Looney Tunes.
That guy's the thing of nightmares.
I mean, looking at this picture here, he's got Daffy Duck by the throat, absolutely crushing his vocal cords. Also, it looks like he's wearing...
Oh, laughing.
Is he wearing shorts? Not the snowman.
Oh.
Daffy Duck.
Oh, Daffy Duck. Oh, I thought you said the snowman. Yeah, why is Daffy Duck wearing shorts? I don't think I've ever seen him wear clothes.
It's winter.
Good point.
Oh.
You wear shorts
Yeah,
in the
that's
winter.
a good point.
If he never wears clothes, then shorts when it's cold is better than nothing.
True.
Now, if we're looking at this man, is that a giant nose, or could that be one giant all-seeing eye right there in the middle of his head?
So, like the light blue?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's protruding out of his mouth, too.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're right. What do you guys think about
Yeah,
this
I'm not
man?
sure what that is. His hair, though, it's wispy. White and wispy.
Here, wait, let's lay out the scene real quick. So, like you said, he's got him by the neck, crushing his vocal cords. Daffy is wearing shorts and looks like a shirt, nice creamish orangish color. But the background, there's a blue mountain, but the sky is like lime green with a darker green and streaks of orange, almost like he's bending time and space to his will.
So maybe he has some mythical powers about him.
I think to really understand how powerful he is, we have to understand how powerful Daffy Duck is. And so I am using the obvious go-to source of information for these types of things, GameSpot. So looking at the Comic Vine GameSpot forums, we have
Yes.
10 years ago, someone asked the question, how powerful is Daffy Duck? And a
Good.
user by the name Bite Me Fanboy says, not as powerful as Donald Duck.
Oh, so, how powerful is Donald Duck?
This is a rabbit hole, or shall I say a duck hole, that I don't know if I'm ready to get into.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. They've both been smashed by like anvils and stuff, and they recovered flawlessly. I've seen them move things that a normal duck nor man could move.
They move at near speed of light at times.
Yeah, so he's a powerful being, that Daffy.
And then and we're looking here, and Hugo has absolutely no problems completely leaving Daffy Duck constrained and not able to move.
Yeah. Honestly, Hugo just might be better than the Wendigo.
I am feeling
even though
that
he might be the size.
I'm thinking that Hugo is more powerful than Marvel's Wendigo.
Okay, so Hugo is the guy to beat now.
Christopher, do you have anything to say against that?
His name is pronounced Hugo.
Oh, sorry, Hugo.
Oh, is he hugging Daffy Duck's vocal cords with his fist?
Mm-hmm. Hugo, the abominable snow rabbit.
Yeah, I would love to hug your esophagus, Daffy.
There is, yeah, snow rabbit.
All right, now things are getting real spicy up in here. We got some real contenders coming out of the woodworks. Monsters, Inc. Yeti. You all know him. The guy who says the classic line, "Welcome to the Himalaya," and then he makes snow cones.
I would say he's probably the nicest Yeti out of everyone.
I would say up to this point, he is the nicest Yeti we've seen. But how powerful is he?
Well, I think that depends on what flavor are his snow cones.
Yellow flavor?
Yeah, what is yellow? Is that like a lime? Is that
a lime? What color do you think a lime is?
Sorry, a lemon. Sorry, I meant a lemon. A lemon? Pineapple? I gotta know.
The flavor of the snow cone?
Yeah.
What kind of yellow it is?
Yeah.
You'll never know.
I think
Isn't that the point?
I think you're correct here, though, in your assumption that he's the nicest Yeti. And I think that is how he will win this fight, in my opinion. He's not going to win by pure brute strength like the other Yetis have relied on. He's going to kill them with kindness. And Hugo is not going to stand a chance. He's a lonely man who lives up in a mountain by himself. Well, they both are. And I think if Hugo was just showed a little love and some friendship, I think he could change his ways from crushing ducks.
Maybe.
Well, so Hugo, being the name Hugo, I think that kind of implies he's got a lot of compassion, right? But I think that's the point, is he's got too much compassion. He kills you with hugs.
You're saying he does it out of love?
Yeah, well, look at the picture where he's absolutely demolishing Daffy Duck. He's smiling. He loves the guy.
That's true.
We might have a contender for also most compassionate abominable snowman. This dude's got some real feelings.
Does he have the power to kill the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with love?
The Bumble, like this guy, he's big. Like look at those pectorals, man. Like he could just rip Santa's sleigh right out of him.
Right out of Santa?
Yeah, he just rips it straight through his corpse.
Yeah. But I remember, so in the movie he's in, he has the reason why he's so mean is he has a giant toothache, and the dentist elf is able to pull the tooth, and he becomes like really kind, and he's like with that miner dude, the gold silver dude.
Yeah, the gold silver.
What?
Dude. That's my favorite
gold
guy.
silver. Like I don't know his name.
Are you talking about the what is it? The explorer?
The explorer, yeah, because he sings silver and gold. But yeah, this I don't know. Bumble's kind of crazy.
He is probably the biggest. How tall is a
wait,
reindeer?
Hold on. When you said the red and silver dude, are you talking about Yukon Cornelius?
No, I said silver and gold.
It's not Yukon.
It is.
Oh, okay. Yukon. Okay.
Yukon Cornelius Tyler. This is if you don't know who Yukon Cornelius is, not you specifically, but anybody who's listening, go look him up right now. This is the perfect man. If your man doesn't look like this, he's lacking. That's all I'm saying.
So the Bumble, we just did some quick maths here, and we all know the movies to scale, so this is super easy to figure out. He's roughly 15 feet tall.
Holy cow!
Yeah, he's no shrimp in the Yeti game. This is a big lad. This is the big guy on campus.
Yeah, even bigger than the Wendigo. Because the Wendigo was, 12 feet maybe?
Yeah.
Holy
This is the big
cow.
boy on campus.
So
you want to get in the sorority, you got to talk to him.
So we're talking having tooth pulled out of his head. I just don't think Monsters Inc. Yeti stands a chance against the Bumble. The dude's just too big.
I mean, with toothaches, he's just crazy.
Now, to be fair, though, how big was the Yeti in Monsters Inc?
I think he's about the same size as Sully.
I thought he was bigger than Sully. Oh, nope, he's only
Sully?
6 to 7 feet tall. You're right. He's not very big at all.
Okay.
In comparison to these other Yeti. All right, so is the Bumble taking the number 1 spot right now?
Ooh. In my book, for sure. He's just scary.
Christopher?
I mean, he's a big boy, but how much damage can this big boy do is my question.
I don't think he does as much damage as my favorite Yeti, the one I saved for last. Disneyland's Matterhorn Yeti.
Oof.
Now,
Which one, new or old?
oh, we're talking. So that's a great question. I'm gonna have to go with new. That man is scary. The first time I saw him, it legitimately made me jump a little bit.
That's the new one.
Oh.
The old one is this.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a new one.
Yeah, he comes busting out.
Yeah, the old
Oh,
one kind of just like
that's been a
waved at
while.
you when you went by.
Yeah, almost like a friendly wave.
Well, I don't think he was trying to be friendly. I just think he didn't know how to be mean. But the
Yeah,
new
he
one, he
walks
just
around,
rips
too.
through the sidewall
Oh,
of the Matterhorn mountain, and
Jeez.
he tries to steal you. He tries to eat you. He does. I've heard rumors of him stealing people's hats before.
That's not kind.
But all throughout the
he
ride,
wears
you
them,
see the havoc and the destruction that he's left behind. You see destroyed expedition gear. You see other destroyed bobsleds, and, well, probably the remnants of old explorers. But that's a little gruesome for Disney.
Yeah, they wouldn't show blood on their ride.
But does he stand a chance against the Bumble?
Well, so Bumble in the movie, he doesn't necessarily hurt anyone. He's just really intimidating. But from how you described the Matterhorn Yeti, it sounds like he hurts a lot of people. So, yeah,
regardless of who's more powerful, at the end of the day, he's my favorite, and that's all that matters to me. But I'm going to say yes, Matterhorn Yeti, number 1 Yeti.
takes the pie.
Now, I didn't know this. Do you guys remember in our Disneyland episode, what was our favorite person we talked about? Do you remember this?
Was it Disco Debbie?
Disco Debbie. I did not know that the Matterhorn Yeti has been nicknamed Disco Yeti.
No way.
Now we got Disco Debbie and Disco Yeti.
So do you think they're partying it up?
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I bet they are, because
Christopher?
Disneyland is closed.
Oh, you are correct there. Do you have anything to say about that, Christopher?
I knew that.
Did you really? You knew he called Disco Yeti?
Yeah, I named him.
No, you didn't.
That's my boy.
You were the one who named him Betty the Yeti.
Betty the Yeti. Was that a name?
Yeah, that's someone. That's the other nickname people apparently have. I like Disco Yeti and Disco Debbie though.
So who dubbed it that? The internet?
Guests.
Okay, I was about to say, because it seems a little insensitive for Disney to do that.
Disco Yeti. Yeah, you're probably right.
They need
there.
to give it like a cast member badge that says Disco Yeti.
I would love that.
Next time you go to Disneyland, put that on there.
I would love
Just
that.
hop off the ride real quick, throw it on.
Now, I want to do a segment we have not done in a good while. Okay. In all honesty, does the Yeti in any of the forms we've talked about today exist? Christopher, go.
Wait, what?
Does the Yeti exist?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
Because he's stupid. No, I don't know. It's. Sorry, Jake. I'm gonna say it. It's like Bigfoot. Like this. We have the craziest imaging, and we found monoliths in the desert, and we found this and that through Google Earth and whatnot. You're telling me through all the years of Google Earthing, there's not been a Yeti in any of the photos? There's not been a Bigfoot in any of the photos? Never?
Never.
I like
He's too elusive.
The verb earthen.
When you're Google Earthing with your friends, keep your eyes peeled for a Yeti.
All right, so if these footprints are not Yeti footprints, what are they?
Dude, it's just Ron. I already said this.
It's good old Ron.
It's Nepal Ron, bro. He's got fat feet. He's got hydrophilus. And just leave him alone.
All right.
He wants to be alone.
Fair points.
No, they're just fake. Same with Bigfoot, Jake.
Yeah.
Come at me.
Yeah, Jake, come at us.
Oh, no.
Tyler, what do you think? Yetis, real or fiction?
So the old style Yetis, like the Buddhist monk ones, like about the like Wildmen, that's probably real. But like the Western culture Yeti, where it's like this big, hairy, like Bigfoot-like creature, I would say no.
What about the Hobbit version?
The Hobbit version, that's a good question because with that Hobbit, like human, they've only really found the skeletal remains of like a couple of them, if I remember right, and they've all been around Indonesia. So maybe there's a lot more than we think. But yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Okay. There was a story I forgot to mention. This is so funny to me. So we're talking back ancient Nepal, Wildmen style Yeti. The elders had this idea on how they could eliminate the Yeti threat. So what they did is they held a small gathering in an area that the Yetis could view them. And all the elders got drunk and got in a fight. And what they were hoping was the Yetis would watch this and also want to drink and party. And then they would fight amongst themselves and kill each other.
That just sounds like they want to get drunk.
It didn't work. So
sadly, it didn't work.
Well, no, maybe it did because we have no footage of a freaking Yeti.
Sure, they all might, and that was the day the Yetis killed themselves. And then the elders were realizing they single-handedly destroyed the entire tourism industry there in Nepal, and that's when they had to come up with the filthy snowman. Now, one good thing that actually came out of the mythos of the Abominable Snowman is one of those explorers back in the day. He went there looking for the Abominable Snowman and ended up realizing how beautiful the land was and that the locals were using it for resources and really destroying the land. And he got a big chunk converted to a national park in the area, which then brought a lot of tourists, which then revitalized the economy in that area. That sounds pretty cool. But that was a side note. My opinion, I agree. I agree that it doesn't exist, and the footprints or any of the sightings were either, it's pretty easily explained in some instances, they were just stacks of rocks that people somehow confused with a monster, and the other ones are either just fake footprints that people made, or they were just bears.
True.
Bears, or it turns out in the forests, there are like these bears that live in trees. And maybe one somehow wandered too far out. But you think he would have died. So I don't know about that. But I think they're just bears are completely fake. Or just rocks. Now, Christopher, back to you. Assuming that the Yetis do exist, assuming they exist. Why haven't we actually found one?
Good question. It's because they don't exist. It's because you got to think about it. So there's not really good Class A Yeti evidence, right? And the evidence we do have is also really bad. So you have to think, where is the Yeti? And the Yeti's got a job. He's at Disneyland. He's in the Matterhorn. That's why you can't see him out in Nepal. That's why maybe occasionally you get some footprints out there, is because he goes and visits home and he has to get back to work. He doesn't get a lot of paid time off.
So you're saying in reality, millions and millions of people have seen the Yeti, but they're just so convinced it's part of the magic of Disneyland, they're not making the connection.
Yeah, it's what was that guy who started the circus? His name something Barnum, whatever. It's like how he went looking for all these weird people with defects.
P.T. Barnum? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. So we got Wampler Disley looking for people with defects, and he found a wild man of the wildest sort, and he gave him a job.
Bless his heart.
When nobody else would.
Okay, I like that. Tyler, what do you think? If the Yeti does exist, assuming it does, why have we not found one?
I would say it's because he's in a competition with Bigfoot, trying to be the hide-and-seek champion of the world.
So you're talking he's up there with Waldo and Carmen Sandiego.
Yes. Carmen Sandiego, Bigfoot, and Yeti. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know your dad was missing.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, he's up there too. So, yeah. I think he's competing for the world championship. And I don't know when that ends. But yeah, that's why he hasn't been found yet.
Psych, Tyler, I totally got you. My dad's always been there and is a very good man.
Well, that's good.
All right, yeah, interesting.
But he is really good at hide and seek.
So you think that the Yeti not only is in a massive game of hide and seek, but is also an expert at the game.
Well, yeah, I would agree, because since he has white fur and he's usually always hiding in Nepal, which is covered in snow, that's why he's so good. Like, how do you spot that?
That's a good point. I think the fact, or the reason we have not found a Yeti is due to the fact that they got social anxiety. They're too nervous to interact with us, and so they stay in the mountains, far, far away. And when we started hiking Everest, they got very upset, I'm sure, because that was a good place for them to hide. And all of a sudden, humans were stupid and decided to try to climb this massive mountain for some reason.
Yeah, I think since Everest has become so popular now, like every year there's more and more hikers that go up there. They're just getting more and more nervous, and that's why we'll never find them, because they're so freaking shy.
Yeah, we're just pushing them into further seclusion.
Don't hike Mount Everest.
If you care about the Yeti, don't hike Everest. On that note, have any of you seen a Yeti?
No.
Christopher, have you seen a Yeti?
Yes, at Disneyland.
Oh, correct. You're right. Then I've also seen a Yeti then. All right. Well,
Have you been to Disneyland?
Yeah,
It's been a
Disneyland.
while.
But have you been on the Matterhorn at Disneyland?
Nope.
Maybe I wasn't
Oh,
looking at it.
Tyler. I thought you were talking about me.
No, Tyler. Because if he's been to Disneyland and he's been on Matterhorn, he's probably seen a
He
Yeti.
closed his eyes.
Yeah, I'm a little too scared.
I was scared too, because if I locked eyes with him, I might fall in love.
That is the true fear.
He's so dashing. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a man.
Well, you know what? This has been a wonderful expedition, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I think we can lock this one in the crypt. But I think we're going to lock this one in the crypt in a little different way. Christopher, he formed some sort of chant, I think, is what you said, to seal the crypt on this one.
Chant, rap, same thing, slam poetry. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? This one goes out to Lil Lucas. If you're listening to this one today, Lil Lucas, you listening? Because I got some slam poetry. Get those fingers ready for some snapping. Here we go. Don't you forget. Yeti challenge is what is the target. I'm hungry for baguettes with the side of nuggets. I got no regrets. Tyler's shorter than a mid-gets.
And so is the Yeti, apparently. So remember that one. Thank you so much, everybody, and good night.